Hey y'all, we are back with another video. This time I will be talking about bar prep. Yes, studying for the bar exam. And if you're watching this video, you already know what I'm talking about. The bar exam is the biggest exam of an attorney's life. After you finish those 3 years of law school, this is the exam of all exams, right? And so I just want to talk briefly about some of the things I did, and I would definitely make more videos and go into more detail as needed, and as people ask different questions, I'm sure it will spark different videos. But for now, I just want to start by saying this was my go-to during bar prep. Strategies and Tactics for the MBE. This book is amazing. It literally has every subject in it that will be tested on the MBE unless things change. Again, I took the bar exam July 26th and July 27th, 2022. I want to make that very clear just in case something changes after this year in terms of what they test, because I have been told that subjects may change. So what I want to say first and foremost is that this is 2022, the 2022 North Carolina UBE Bar Exam. That was one of my go-tos, as well as these. These are one-pagers that I got from jdadvising.com. These were excellent one-pagers. They give you rule statements. They give you charts and graphs on the back. So those are amazing. I would highly recommend purchasing JD Advising one-pagers and the Strategies and Tactics book. Another thing that I highly recommend, I can put a picture of it or a link below, is the Critical Pass flashcards. Those were incredible. I literally would take chunks, depending on what subject I was doing that day. I would take chunks and literally study the rule statements, go over the rule statements over and over and over again, write out the rule statements, right? So my daily schedule, it looks a little something like this. So I literally followed Barbary to a T. I did take Barbary. This is not a sponsored ad. This is not a paid advertisement at all. But I did take Barbary, and so I'm going to just speak from my personal experience. I loved Barbary, and I feel like Barbary was very user-friendly as well as very organized. I literally could set the amount of hours I planned on studying each day, and it gave me a plan for that day. The other part that I love about Barbary is that the customer service was superb. So when we were having some technical issues with Barbary, the president himself sent out an email, and he included his cell phone number. And he said, if you have any issues, let me know. Call this number. And of course, that's a great idea. You think, okay, it's going to be an office number. It literally seemed to be his cell phone number, because he literally picked up when I called, and he texted me back from that number and said, you have my personal cell. If anything else goes wrong, give me a call. I appreciated that. This is the most important exam of your life. And you need to make sure that everything is working. And if it's not, you need to be able to contact someone and tell them, hey, my modules are not working. And so for me, every day I was at my school between 8 a.m. and 8:30. I was leaving my school between 6:30 and 7 most nights. And so that was my days most of the time. However, every day was not that. Some days you're going to start at 8:30 and you might be able to leave at 5 or 5:30. And I say this because you're going to need to give yourself time for lunch. You're going to need to eat healthy. You're going to need to make sure you're putting in some time, if you can, for exercise. Exercising, eating healthy, and keeping everything as much as possible healthy and free of stress, right? So what does that look like? That looks like making sure what you put in your ears and your eyes is positive, right? So making sure what you listen to, if it's a podcast, if it's music, that is positive. Whatever you're watching, that is positive. During lunch, what I would do is I would reward myself by watching Girlfriends sometimes. Girlfriends, the old TV show, I love it. It's something I don't really have to think when I'm watching it. It's fun. It's funny. It allows me to relax my brain every time I watch it. And so that would be my treat to myself. I would watch a 30-minute episode on, whatever, YouTube, Netflix, while I was eating my lunch for 30 minutes. And then I would get back to it. For me, I followed the Barbary plan to a T. And then when I was done with my Barbary material for the day, I wrote on big white paper, easel paper. I will put a clip of that in here as well at the end, but I would write my rule statements out based on what I learned that day. And then after that, I would put those all around the office that I was studying in. So I would do that. And that was my way of processing. But again, I'm a very visual learner. This is what I did all throughout law school. I would write on a whiteboard my rule statements. I would learn something, I would write it. I would learn something, I would write it on a construction piece of construction paper. I would write it on a flashcard. Whatever you did in law school that worked, I say to keep doing that. You don't want to change up something all of a sudden now. And so for me, I treated bar prep like a job plus overtime. For me, I did not want to take this exam ever again. And for those who may be watching this and this is your second round or your third round taking it, kudos to you. You can do this. You can pass this exam. And that message is for everybody. You can pass this exam with the right strategies, with the right tactics, not to use the strategies and tactics book, but with the right strategies, with the right tactics, and making sure that everything around you is in alignment with what you're doing. What I mean by that is eliminating distractions. Bar prep season is one of the most important seasons of your life. You don't need outside distractions. You don't need outside stressors. You need to lock in. Wherever you're studying should be like a second home to you. And I say that because if you think about it, I was at the school from 8 to 7 most days, 8 to 6:30 most days. I was there more than I was at home. So you definitely need a strong supportive system during that time. You also need little to no distractions as possible. And I know that life happens, right? Life is going to happen. Things are going to still come up. But during that time, you need as little distraction as possible because it is very time consuming. It is a lot of rules to know. It is a lot of refreshing your memory. And so that's all I want to say for now. I wanted to keep this video brief as an intro video. But to start, I will show again these one-pagers. I had them for several subjects, and these are great when you're learning rule statements, when you're reviewing rule statements, if you're out somewhere. I'm doing bar prep. For me, it was if I was getting my hair done, getting my hair braided, going to my son's doctor's or dentist appointments in the waiting room. I was reading these. I was reviewing these, right? And so the one-pagers are amazing, as well as this big, let me pick it up, this amazing book. In addition to those two, the critical pass flashcards are amazing. So those are three things I would definitely say for you to get during bar prep. In addition to that, I would say get you something similar to this. It does not have to look just like this, but a daily to-do list. And I would say to put on that daily to-do list literally what your plan is for that day. And so this was the daily to-do list that I actually used during the last month of bar prep, because this is telling me you need to make sure you cover 3 to 4 subjects per day. You need to make sure you're doing some rule statements and some practice essays. Again, this was during the last month of bar prep when I wanted to make sure that I had reviewed everything thus far. But if you have Barbary, if you have Themis, if you have Kaplan, if you have, let me think. Those are the 3 main ones that I can think of right now. But I know, like I said, I use Barbary. And Barbary will keep you on track to make sure that you have covered all the rules that will be the most tested on the exam. Of course, they can't tell you definitely what's going to be there, but they will also ensure that you have gone through all of the subjects that will be covered on the bar exam. And so it's really important to make sure you go through at least all of the material so that you have at least seen it, you have at least been refreshed on those topics. And then after that, that's the time for you to then start regurgitating that, right? How are you regurgitating it? Whatever your method is. For me, it was visual. Like I said, I was writing on big white easel pads. For some people, it's flashcards. For some people, it's typing the rules over and over. For other people, it could be looking at the rule, covering it up, and seeing if they can repeat it. Whatever your method is, I would say do it. Whatever worked in law school, and I say that because literally at this point, if you're watching this video, you've probably done 3 years of law school or you're a 3L. Do what worked for you all 3 years. Whatever worked and helped you to retain the material, do that for this exam. And so those are the main things. Getting those 3 materials, again, the strategies and tactics book, the one-pagers, the critical pass flashcards, and then a support system. You are going to need a support system no matter how big or how small. You're going to need a support system of people that you can go to during this very stressful time, who can support you, who can make sure that you stay encouraged on those days where you want to scream, where you don't want to do this anymore, where you're frustrated. They can be your go-to person. So figure out who those people are going to be, eliminate distractions, order these materials, get your mind ready, get your mind right. You can do this no matter how many times you've taken the bar exam. If this is going to be your first attempt, second, third, fourth, or fifth, you can do this. You can do this with the right strategies, with the right tactics, no pun intended, and with the right support system. You can do this. And so I just wanted to give just a quick overview of my process. Please leave any comments or questions below. And like I said, I'm sure that will spark more videos, but just want to give a quick short one right now to let you know what I did. I had a schedule. I was at the school, like I said, 8 to 8:30. I was leaving 6 to 6:30 most days. I was leaving at 7 p.m. But the reason that was because I was doing my Barbie study plan. And then after that, I was regurgitating what I learned so that I could literally soak in what I had learned that day and not just be a passive learner, but I definitely wanted to be an active learner. And for this, you want to make sure that you are all in, you are locked in, you are learning. And then you're giving yourself breaks. At the end of my day, at 6:30, 7 p.m., I had to learn, okay, it's okay to go home and watch some girlfriends if you want to, or watch Netflix, or just relax your brain, right? You do not want to get burnt out so soon. And you also want your brain to rest. Your brain is a muscle. So it's just like anything else. It needs to rest. So I want to leave you all on that note. Get those materials if you can. Get your study schedule intact. Sign up for a good bar prep program. I recommend Barbary, but I have friends who use Kaplan and who use Themis and who pass the bar exam. So I would say use whatever works for you, whatever method works for you, and make sure that you have a strong support system, as little to none distractions as possible. Lock in and get your rest. I will see y'all on the next video.